Hey everyone, my name is Mandy and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about whether or not homeschool kids are at a disadvantage. So I have a couple of main points, probably the main ones that you're going to come into contact with, or the main ones that you are wondering about yourself. Before I get into the video, make sure that you hit the like and the subscribe button, and down below in the description box I have a free Facebook group for homeschooling parents, and I have links to free curriculum trials down there if you need some language arts help. So one of the most Googled questions about homeschooling is, are homeschoolers at a disadvantage? So let's tackle this question. This is a huge topic. And before I really get into each topic, I want to say up front that I'm mainly speaking to Christian parents here. And because I am a Christian, I look at everything from a Christian worldview. I don't come from a secular humanist point of view. I come from a Christian point of view. So my answers are going to be shaped not only by data that is out there, but by my worldview too. So take that for what it's worth. So remember that before you start screaming at me in the comments. So the first one is always academics. Academically, are they at a disadvantage? Nope. If you look at the data, homeschool kids always score better on testing than public school kids. And at the end of the day, their grades are higher and academically they do better. And there's many reasons why this is. I've done videos on this before. There are a lot of different reasons, but some of the main reasons are the individualized type of curriculum that they have. So you can really shape and put them on a path to success, where in public school, it's kind of just like herding cattle. Like you have to take specific things and you have one path, but in homeschooling, there are many paths to success. And that way you can really tailor your education for your child. Now, homeschoolers still follow the regulations in their state for graduation. So my child is still taking the math classes that he has to take. He's still taking science and labs and things like that. So just know that, one of the biggest reasons why homeschoolers do better academically is because it is a one-to-one education. Meaning there is a one-on-one relationship with the teacher. The teacher is not trying to educate 35 other students plus your child all at the same time, and they get so much better of an experience and they learn much better in that type of environment where they just have a one-to-one teacher-student ratio. So second, what about careers? What about when they're adults? The data also shows that kids actually have better career achievement when they're homeschooled. Honestly, there are probably hundreds of reasons why this is, and I can only really speculate here because there's no real reason why. It would be very hard to measure that kind of data. But I know for our family, it's probably higher responsibility and more emphasis on personal responsibility too. And honestly, I can say most homeschoolers are more mature in general. I have found that to be true just as a former teacher myself. I have found homeschool students, and not just my own, but other homeschoolers that we are friends with and have met before, they typically are more mature. And in a work environment, especially, your first couple of jobs, that maturity goes a long way. So having more maturity in that aspect, I think probably has something to do with that. A lot of times when you're homeschooling, especially when they go into high school and college, they learn how to learn. I know that this is true for my kids. My kids really focus on independent learning. So there is a lot of that personal responsibility for their own education going on. Even though I teach the subjects, they really take initiative and take personal responsibility for their education at the same time. So I know that's true with a lot of other homeschool families too. So that might also have something to do with that. So what about college admissions? Are they at a disadvantage for college? I have only heard of one college, and of course it's in California. It's like some tiny little art school in California and this was like 8 or 9 years ago, that did not admit homeschoolers. everywhere else admits homeschoolers. I have yet to see another college that doesn't. If you have, let me know. I mean, it's probably pretty obscure, but as long as you have a transcript, and see, here's the thing I think people really forget when they're talking about homeschool versus public school when it comes to college. Colleges just want to see the tuition. I mean, I did not even have to produce my high school diploma back when I was in college. I know that was 20 years ago, but I only had to give them my transcript. And guess what? When you're a homeschooler, you have to have a transcript. So you're still producing a transcript for your child. Now, you can do that through all different kinds of places. There are professional places online that will make you a college transcript. There are cover schools, like my kids, we're in a cover school for records and transcripts. So it's already being done that way. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can even DIY it if you want and make a transcript on your computer. There's all kinds of templates and things like that. That's all the college wants to see. And as long as you have the requirements for college, they have no reason not to admit you. And many colleges admit homeschoolers. And if you really look into it with no bias, then you will see that colleges and college professors actually really talk well about homeschool students and what they are like versus the public school students. And many times you will see that they praise the homeschool students for accepting more academic challenges and being more college ready than public schoolers. So what about the military? This one was so easy because I am a military wife. My husband was in the Marine Corps for 16 years, and I can tell you right now, homeschool students have no problem getting into the military. It's absolutely the same thing. As long as you can produce records, you know, high school diploma, a GED, transcript, they have no reason not to take you. They want people, so they have no reason not to take anybody who has the requirements. As long as you meet the requirements at the time, you know, they take the ASVAB and all of that, you're fine. Okay, so sports is a touchy subject. I get it. And a lot of people, I have actually had people comment on my videos that they homeschooled all the way up until high school and then put their child in public school, high school to play sports. I have thoughts on this, especially from a Christian point of view, and I know I'm probably going to get eaten up, and I'll probably just ignore those comments just because I'm going to say my piece now on this. But Christian parents, I really want you to think about this before making this decision. So first, some states and counties will allow your homeschool children to enroll in their sports programs. Not all, but some. I know, I think it's on HSLDA where they will actually have a list, you know, like if you go look up your state, it'll tell you about sports, I think. But if you Google that information for your state and county, it will probably come up and you can figure that out. If not, your kids can also play in county sports, like they have local sports. It's not like your kids can't play sports. My kids are in sports. It's not like they don't get that type of opportunity. Second, the statistics show, the most recent statistic that I read was that over 70% of church-going kids by graduation renounce their faith, walk away from the faith, declare that they do not believe anymore. That's a really large statistic. Very large. I read it over on Family Renewal, and it was just, as a Christian parent, that's alarming. So I read the article this morning on this, and the actual statistic right now, according to NPR, is your child has like 0.5% chance of actually going pro with their sports. That's really low. That's a really, really, really small chance. However, your child has a 100% chance of meeting Christ. Every person, man, woman, and child at the end of their life will meet Christ. And the only thing that is going to matter is whether they are saved or not. If my child has a less than 1% chance of getting some big sports scholarship and going pro, but has a 70% chance of renouncing his faith, the thing that is more important to me is, one, his relationship to Christ, and 2, his academics. And both of those are better in the homeschool arena, much better. So sports are not worth it to me. You know, I'm just gonna say it, sports are not worth it to me. I don't care if my kid is an all-star player, it's not worth it to me. And it's not worth it to my husband, it's not worth it to my family. Now, I know not everybody has that take. You know, you have to make the best decision for your child at the end of the day. But that's where we stand as Christians. And of course, let's touch on the socialization because I know that one's gonna come up. There is really nothing out there that I have read or experienced as a former teacher and as a parent and as a homeschool mom for so many years that has shown me that homeschoolers are less socialized than public school kids. But I think the big disconnect here is that the world's view of socialization is not actually what socialization is. In fact, I used to actually get in trouble for socializing when I was in public school because I am a product of 13 years of public school education. So I know how public school goes. The public school view of socialization, and this goes for the world's view of socialization, right, is that a child has to sit in a classroom with 35 other students his or her own age and then maybe have lunch and recess together. So there's a couple problems with this. One, they're not supposed to be socializing during school anyway unless it's lunch or recess. So that's what? An hour a day? The rest of the day, they're not supposed to be socializing. They're supposed to be doing their work. Unless it's a special project. There are special projects, yada, yada, yada. Okay, but in general, are they supposed to be socializing with each other? No. And if you really get to know other homeschoolers and do co-ops and things like that, you will find that most homeschoolers are actually better socialized. And you want to know why? Because they're around people of all different ages. They're not just around a classroom of 35 kids their own age. They're around people of all ages. They're around young, old, and their same age. And a lot of times that matures them, especially when they're around older adults, that will mature them. It is a good thing. You can socialize with literally anybody. You can socialize with the librarian. You can socialize when you're out at the park with other kids. You can socialize at co-op. You can socialize at sports. You can socialize at church. There are plenty of ways to socialize. I mean, I'm sure your kids probably have friends in their neighborhood too that they socialize with too. Many of you, not all. Don't think I'm doing blanket statements here. I'm just saying for the majority of people, for the average person, most of us live in neighborhoods that have kids that your kids are gonna socialize with. So yes, homeschoolers are socialized. So that argument really doesn't hold water. So is there a disadvantage to homeschooling? Not really. I don't really see how homeschoolers are disadvantaged in any of the big arenas. If, in fact, I think homeschoolers are given more opportunities in different ways. It's just you have to go out of your way sometimes to find those things. And a lot of times you will find that people are not willing to do that. Now I am, my husband is. We are willing to go out of our way to really give our kids the opportunities that we want to give them. And sometimes it's not as easy. And I think that that's really what it boils down to a lot of times is homeschooling is not easy. And, you know, I don't want to make it sound like this sunshine and rainbows thing, you know, all the time, especially when you get to high school. When you get to high school, it's not easy. It's actually kind of hard a lot of days. And you have to really keep up with it and you have to really be dedicated to it. Now, does that mean it's not doable? No, we're doing it. We're in year 2 of high school and we're chugging right along. But I don't want to give off the impression that, you know, this is like super easy and that homeschoolers have, you know, nothing but sunshine and rainbows. But at the same time, they're not disadvantaged either. So I don't want you to think, you know, because there's so many articles out there that just slam homeschoolers because, you know, they come from a secular humanist point of view that they were taught in public school and they're going to get that kind of education. And they have been taught, just as I was taught in high school and college, that homeschoolers never see the outside world. That for some reason, homeschool parents just keep their kids in their house all day and they never go anywhere, do anything, or meet any other people. And they are super weird people that only know Bible verses and no math facts. Kid you not, that is what they used to teach me in college. That was the college education that I got. And it was ingrained in my head that I couldn't homeschool because my kids would be weird. They would be unsocialized and they would know nothing but Bible facts. It's so untrue, you guys. It is so untrue. And I'm hoping that I'm busting some myths here and some preconceived notions that people might have. But I did want to touch on these big subjects because these are the ones that people are always the most worried and concerned about. So hopefully that clears some things up. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day and happy homeschooling.